So, whatever happened to the alien from the 1979 classic sci-fi horror film Alien? Let's find out. Movies,
Music and monsters.
Hey guys, Dan Monroe here, talking about movies, music, and monsters. Super excited. My new official website is up, moviesmusicmonsters.com. Check it out. Link in the description. Oh man, buckle up. This is going to be a good one. Now, I need to start off by thanking Heath Hammond and Kelly Mark Delcom of Block 4 Studios for their invaluable expertise and information, without whom this video would not have been possible. So thank you guys. Now, there is absolutely no question in my mind whatsoever that Alien was my first introduction to real intense horror. Honestly, this was one of the very few movies that, as a kid, really had an impact on me. One of the main reasons was, like Jaws, we never really saw the alien, and that allowed all that horror to take place up here, which is something I wish modern-day horror movies would do more often, but that's a story for another day. Now, believe me, I could literally spend hours discussing not only the creation, but the impact that this amazing film had on the movie industry and the nightmares of a 10-year-old kid. But in this video, I'm just going to specifically focus on the alien costume and design itself. Just gonna be the big chap. So grab your face hugger and let's dive in. Alien was filmed in just 14 weeks from July through October of 1978. And, like a lot of films back in the day, Alien was filmed at both Pinewood Studios and Shepperton Studios near London. You know, looking back on the film, you might not realize it, but the reason the production was so short was because the movie really had a low budget. You'd never know by looking at it, but they did not have a ton of cash. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of money going around, but one place they certainly didn't skimp was set and creature design, which was not only extremely unique, but super cool. Avant-garde artist H.R. Giger made several conceptual paintings of the full-size alien before actually settling on a final version. He sculpted the full-size body in plasticine and covered it with some really weird stuff like vertebrae from snakes and cooling tubes from a Rolls-Royce.
When I worked there, that was the first time I worked for the film industry, for the real big productions, and that was so new for me, everything, and Ridley Scott showed me everything. That was very good, and Alien was the best thing I did, I think.
Even though H.R. Giger designed the entire alien, there were multiple heads of the xenomorph that were physically constructed by Carlo Rambaldi and another backup head by David Watling, but we'll get to that in just a second. Carlo Rambaldi worked on a lot of really cool stuff, including the aliens from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Rambaldi made a few modifications to the original Giger design to incorporate all those moving parts that would animate the jaw and that really bizarre tongue with the mouth on it. Believe it or not, the final head had about 900 moving parts in it, including part of a human skull right in the front. I mean, wow. You know, it's really quite amazing that even with all the technology and resources aboard the Nostromo, the entire crew, I mean, everybody on board, was still in extreme danger due to the lack of protection. Well, I guarantee you that's one thing you don't want to be without: reliable online safety. So I'd literally like to take just 1 minute to talk about today's sponsor, Aura, which is really quite an amazing company for making sure that you're protected online. I mean, think about it. The odds of you getting attacked by a xenomorph is about 1 in 300 billion. But the odds of your information getting hacked is about 1 in 4. Just 2 months ago, the personal information of 73 million customers was leaked onto the dark web. But come on, how is this possible? Well, there are data brokers online who literally sell your personal information, addresses, bank accounts, whatever. It's all out there. So, after Aura reached out to me, I did a little investigating online about my personal information. They showed me who was selling my information and automatically submitted opt-out requests, which is pretty cool. I also get top-notch antivirus, a VPN, identity theft protection, all in one place for a very reasonable price. So, if you want to find out what's going on with your personal information and you want to give it a try, go to aura.com/Dan Monroe to start a free 2-week trial. Link in the description. Aura. Give it a try. I did, and you know what? It works. Okay, back to the alien. For most of the scenes in the film, the alien was portrayed by a Nigerian actor and visual artist named Bolaji Badejo. This guy was 6 foot 10 inches tall and probably one of the few people that even I, at 6 foot 9, would have to look up to. This guy was literally in a pub in Soho, London, England, when a member of Ridley Scott's casting team just happened to see this guy across the bar. I'd love to know how that conversation started. Hey, dude, you're really tall. You want to be a Hollywood alien? So he got the part. How cool is that? There were, however, a couple of scenes when another guy named Eddie Powell wore the costume, but we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, but where is all this really cool alien stuff today? As I mentioned before, H.R. Giger designed the alien, but it was up to extremely talented artists to actually take those designs and build the actual alien props and costumes. Carlo Rambaldi was commissioned to make 3 mechanical alien heads for the film, which he eventually delivered to the set and were used on screen during filming, but initially he was busy working on another film, so a second artist was commissioned named David Watling, who was asked to create a backup mechanical alien head just in case the 3 heads by Carlo Rambaldi were delayed. This is the magnificent mechanical head that was constructed by David Watling for the production of Alien, the backup head. This particular head was intended to be operated with a remote control system where Rambaldi's heads were operated using hand levers. And like the other 3 Carlo Rambaldi heads, this mechanical head was also hand-painted and finished by H.R. Giger himself. Absolutely gorgeous and a little bit horrifying up close, but it's absolutely staggering to think that this magnificent piece of history still survives. Now, ultimately, Carlo Rambaldi did eventually deliver all 3 of the alien heads that he created to the set as promised. And even though this particular David Watling head is well documented about being built for the production of Alien, this exact alien head was never used on camera. But regardless, it's stunning and gorgeous and eventually sold at a prop store auction back in 2020 for a whopping £62,000 or $78,000. And while we're on the subject of alien heads, here's another one. Now, this particular xenomorph head I'm going to call the special effects head because it can clearly be seen on the set of the film in various images taken during the production phase at Carlo Rambaldi's special effects lab. In many of the photos, this mostly fiberglass alien head can be seen coated in the weird slime-like stuff, which more than likely indicated that this head was used to test different special effects techniques to achieve the effect seen in the final production of the film. And this is awesome. In 2023, this unbelievable alien head was completely restored by the expert team at Block 4, whose highly detailed process has preserved this amazing xenomorph piece for years to come. For the restoration, they started by stripping and cleaning the entire head and then perfectly replacing any components that were either broken or missing. After the needed repairs were made, the head was sanded and repainted closely following the original design direction from the film. They also added a new clear dome, which was cast from an existing original production-used alien. Now, prior to this restoration, this particular alien head was displayed at various museums around the world and was eventually sold at a Julien's auction for an amazing $52,000. Another incredible example of an iconic and historic movie prop expertly restored by the geniuses over at Block 4. And if you want to learn more about all the stuff Block 4 has to offer, which is way more than just prop restoration, check them out. Link in the description. As far as the original Carlo Rambaldi heads, well, here's one of them. I'm not really sure where this photo was taken, but it's absolutely one of the 3 original Rambaldi heads. And here's another one. This one is so cool because it's not only located at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles, but it's also the Carlo Rambaldi head that was worn by 6'10" actor Balaji Badejo for most of the film. That is freaking awesome. Okay, but what about all the incredible full-size costumes that the actors wore while actually filming the incredible alien scenes? Well, luckily, a couple of these unbelievable costumes still exist and have been maintained in really good condition. Here's one of them, proudly on display at the Frankfurt Film Museum in Germany. I mean, just look at the incredible condition this prop is in still after 45 years. I am so glad that this unbelievable piece of cinematic history wasn't just sold off in some random auction to a collector who would just tuck it away in his personal collection, never to be seen again. Now, to be extremely specific, this particular full alien costume was worn by English stunt performer Eddie Powell during the production of the film, which I mentioned earlier, specifically in the scene where Brett was killed, the scene where the alien attacks Dallas in the ship's air ducts, and also the final scene where the alien is incinerated in the ship's engines. I'm not exactly sure how many of these full-size alien costumes were made. The information at the museum only specifically states Eddie Powell. I told you this can get complicated. And believe it or not, there seems to be a second full-size original 1979 alien costume floating around, this time at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, Washington. I don't know the exact origins of this suit, but it is definitely authentic to the original film, and man, does this thing look freaking amazing. Now, this particular costume went up for auction through Profiles in History back in 2007, and luckily ended up at the Museum of Pop Culture for everyone to enjoy or have really bad nightmares about. Alien opened in America on May 25th, 1979, but believe it or not, only in a few limited theaters. However, like Star Wars, word began to spread, and before you knew it, there were lines around the block to see this film. It eventually received a wide release in the United States on June 22, 1979, as well as the United Kingdom, France, and Spain in September of '79. And despite the relatively small premiere, Alien was a huge financial success, bringing in over $3.5 million over the 4-day Memorial Day weekend. Not too shabby for 1979. Critically, Roger Ebert stated that the film was, and I quote, basically just an intergalactic haunted house set inside a spaceship, which really disappoints. God, critics. Okay, but what about the incredible Alien toys? Well, believe it or not, the crown jewel of many sci-fi enthusiasts' collections has got to be the 1979 Kenner Alien action figure. This thing was not only huge, like 18 inches tall, and incredibly detailed, but also had a jaw that opened with that fricking tongue with the teeth on it, like on a toy for kids. I would have hated to be the guy whose job it was to market this nightmare to kids and parents back in 1979. But it is super cool, and if you don't have one and you really want one, especially with the original box, be prepared to take out a couple of new mortgages on your house. Well, the original 1979 Alien came and went, but that certainly wasn't the end of this unbelievably popular masterpiece. In 1986, a whole 7 years after the original film was released, audiences were treated to the second installment of this amazing franchise, Aliens, with the return of Sigourney Weaver with a huge militaristic army determined to squash the bugs, an amazing cast including Michael Biehn and Paul Reiser, and of course more aliens than you can shake a face hugger at, but that, my friends, is the topic of another video. I really hope you guys enjoyed that deep dive into the original Xenomorph costume from Alien 1979, and if you did and you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got a whole bunch of new videos coming up that I know you guys are just gonna dig. As always, if anybody has any questions, drop them down in the comments and I will try my best to answer them for you. And please feel free to stop back anytime as we continue our conversation on movies, music, and monsters. Movies,
Music and monsters.